Good morning, Predicted Trades family. Hope everybody's doing well. So, for a quick review, we had our CPI yesterday that shot the market up to tag some key levels. And before open, I said it's all about this 41.36.5. If we drop below it and reject it, then we'll go back to revisit these lower levels. And as you can see with our Beast tool, we pushed way past exhaustion and we arrived all the way back down at our open range sell zone. ES came back to the daily 200 where it held twice and then bounced up. You can see we're slipping down to our open range buy zone here, pre-market. So overall, it's all about that daily 200 and yesterday's low. As long as we can hold around that 40.35 down to 40.25, a little 10-point range. We can hold there. We can start to make a rally back up into FOMC today. We do have a little hourly squeeze that's starting to form around that 40.71 and around 40.40. So we've kind of got our range set going into open. Let's go ahead and step up to our normal time frames. Oh, and I guess just to finish review with ES, you know, there were a couple of perfect opportunities to short yesterday. That 41.36 where we started to reject and lost MA clouds. Even if you missed the 41.36 entry, we hit VWAP, came back and tagged those clouds. That's where you get in short. We go down, settle, tag clouds. That's where you go short. And then end of day, we started to get above those clouds and try to push back up, which set up another short back down through the clouds. But I just wanted to point out again, the clouds are our friend. They provided a nice long bounce up to this key level, and then we flipped short, going back through the cloud, rejecting the cloud down. And what was it on SPY yesterday? I think I called out the 408 put at the beginning, the 40. I'm trying to think, the 402 and the 400 later in the day. Yeah, let's move up to our normal time frames. And while we're waiting for that to load, I'll pull up our economic calendar like we look at every day. This morning we have a little bit of import price index that just came out at 8:30. And then the big one at 2 p.m. we'll have FOMC, and 2:30 we'll have Powell talking. Tomorrow we do have our jobless claims, some retail data, some manufacturing data. Plenty coming out before the bell. And then Friday we got some PMI data right after the bell. Next week we're going into Christmas, but we have a full week. We got a little bit of housing data on Tuesday and Monday. Wednesday, consumer confidence index, 10 a.m. It's kind of the big one. Thursday, some jobless claims, some GDP data. And Friday will be PCE, right before Christmas, in the University of Michigan. So, let's see how today goes. Let's see if they give us that 75 base point or 50 base point hike. And just looking at where we're at, this 40.71, 40.40, kind of the range set with that 1 hour squeeze. Looking for this zone to hold with yesterday's low and the daily 200. If we start to slip that zone, then we're going to come back to test 40.20, where we got above on Monday and held overnight going into CPI. And if we lose that 40.20, then down to the daily 8, daily 15 at 40.10, and the daily 21 has caught up to 39.80. So these are your key levels to the downside if we do start to slip. If we continue what is a little bit of a downtrend. We also have our 4 hour 45 MA sitting right at about 4,008. So if we can't push off of these moving averages to head back up and take out pre-market highs and start pushing back through levels above, and we keep rejecting and falling for H's, we'll go to visit yesterday's low and test some of our 45 MAs around that 4020. 4008 is where the 4-hour 45 sits. So just looking at our MA structure, we are back above. We fell down 2 and trying to hold. See if we can stay above, basically that 4040 to 4035 to keep trucking up. If we can get going to the upside, looking to test pre-market highs around that 4071, get back to this 4087, which was kind of our first target and settle point yesterday, where we got one last test of VWAP before heading down. And if we can get through 4087 back to 4100, the top of this daily and 2-day squeeze, and some of our levels from yesterday. So we got to take out 4071, 4087, 4100, this zone around 4108, 4101, and then back up to 4136.5. Just talking about some further out levels in each direction, so that we're prepared for whatever the reaction to FOMC is today. Alright, in Q, yesterday's low around 850, so looking for 850 to 900 to hold. A little bit of kind of a 50-point range, whereas on ES it was, about a 10-point range. So, let's see if we can hold yesterday's low, hold this 11,900 at these squeeze bottoms, at this 1-hour squeeze bottom, and try to make our fight back up to 12,000 and overnight highs for a test. If we can get through there, looking for 12,100, 12,250 as the upside targets to get back to where we were yesterday. And overall goal, getting up to that daily 200 on NQ, kind of the last index that needs to visit its daily 200 for further upside. But if we start to give out, there we go. If we start to give out that 900, then and that 850, yesterday's lows, then likely coming down to this 11,800 and 775, let's call it, where the daily 8, daily 15 sit. Should we start to lose that, then coming back to 11,700 where the daily 21 sits. So very clear targets above and below with your 1-hour squeeze as a range to play. We're looking long as we can hold off the squeeze bottom to get to the top. And if we start to break down, I'll wait for a retest to short, that kind of thing. Ready. On tops. Yeah, on Ready, it's all about this daily 8, daily 21, and yesterday's low. Basically the 1835 to 1838, so just a few point range. Looking for that to hold at these squeeze bottoms. Start to work our way back above 1850, 1856 where the daily 200 sits. And then if we can get going to the upside through 1860, looking back up to 1880, 1900. If we start to break down and lose the daily 21, daily 8, we'll likely go fast to that daily 50 down at 1809, and the cycle level 1800 where we were settling last week. YM. IM, yesterday's low around 34,100 and 34,150. And at the bottom of the squeeze, we got this 34,200. So looking for that to hold if we do have a dip and take out pre-market lows. But if we can hold pre-market lows or near that 34,200, looking forward to get back up to go test pre-market highs around 34,500. And if we can start to get above that, looking to get back to 34,800, 35,000, where we started yesterday after that CPI gap up. To the downside, if we start to lose that 200, likely coming down to test 34,100 and 34,000, because we have the daily 8, daily 15 at that 34,100, psych level 34,000, and the bottom of a 2-hour squeeze there as well. Should that give out daily 21, 33,800, and then you'd be on that 33,500 again. Apple. So Apple, was a good sign yesterday for the downside. I said I want to see it hold 149 for any early upside. Couldn't hold 149. Then it was want to see it hold 147 for any kind of midday reversal. And we lost that. And even made it to VWAP and then lost that. So was a good sign for downside yesterday. Made it back to our zone at 144.5, 145. So basically looking forward to hold up there. As you can see, from there we've got key levels above. If we lose this zone, we're talking about coming back down to this 141, 140, and our zone below, and these squeeze bottoms. But let's see if we can hold this zone, push off this 145. If we can get back above 146, we'll kind of start to fire this 30-minute squeeze to the upside. Looking to get back to that 147.5 at the top of, what is this, a 4-hour squeeze. And then past that 149, 150. AMD. AMD, it's all about holding 70.5 up to 71. Little 50-cent range should be the support today. If we can hold there, looking to get back up to 72.5. And then 73, where that daily 15 sits. If we can get going past that, up to 75 again. If we start to give out that 71, 70.5, yesterday's lows, then likely coming back to retest 69, 68, and if everything's selling off back to that daily 50, around 66. Amazon. Amazon with a pretty nice bounce off of 91 yesterday. So in the morning, it's all about holding 92. Bottom of this 30-minute squeeze. If we can hold 92, push through 93, we're going to get actually through 93.5 where the daily 21 sits. Looking to carry back up to 95 and 97. But if we start to lose 92, coming back to 91, and yesterday's lows around 90.5. Should that start to give out, we're talking back to 88, 89, 88. BA. Basically just fell back to the previous day's highs and held around there. For open, let's see if we can hold around 186 and a half, 186. If we can hold there and start to push back up through 188, looking to get up to this 190, 191. If we start to lose 186, going to test yesterday's lows around 185. Should that give out 184 and then 182 where the daily 8 sits? Cat. Did a decent job holding that daily 8, that 232 yesterday. So basically the support today, that daily 15, daily 8, from 232 up to 233 and a half. If we can hold there, looking to get back above some of these pre-market prints around 235 and a half, make our way back up to 238 and 240. If we start to lose 232, coming back to 230 where the daily 21 is, maybe even that 228 big key level. On Google. All about holding this shaded zone. 94 and a half to 95 is the support. Yesterday's low around 95. Looking for that to hold, get back over 96 for the daily 21, daily 50 sit. Push up to 97 where the daily 15 sits. And then if we can push past 97 back to 98, 99 near yesterday's highs. If we start to give out 95, 94 and a half, coming back to this 93 and a half and 93 where we settled Friday and Monday. GS. So early, let's see if we can hold this 367 where the daily 8 is, 368 and a half where the daily 21 is. That's kind of your support right now. We can hold there in the morning, looking to get back up above 370, make our way back to 374 and a half where the daily 15 sits. And yesterday's highs, and then up to that 380. But if we start to lose that daily 8 and yesterday's lows around 365 and a half, then we could come back to complete filling this gap back to 261 or 361, 360. Let's go to Meta. Oh, come on, don't freeze on me, toss. Anytime now. Oh no, did the whole computer freeze? Okay, no. Just think or swim. Come on. There we go. While we wait on that, it's like VIX has its open range buy zone around that 22 and a half. So So I would definitely like to see us get below 22.5 for upside today. Here we go. Meta's loaded. Look at Meta. Huh. Did a pretty good job holding up yesterday. Did not come back to engulf that CPI move up. So very interesting relative strength over in Meta. Let's see, basically if we can hold 118.5. And with the squeeze bottom around 119.5. 118.5 being yesterday's low. If we can hold around there, looking for us to get back up above 121.5. Would start to fire this 30-minute squeeze back up into this 123 level. 125. The next target beyond that. And 130 up above. If Meta can remain strong and market starts to push today. If we start to lose that 118.5, yesterday's low for the cash session, then likely coming back to this daily 8 around this daily 8, daily 50 around 117, daily 21, daily 15 around 115. Microsoft. Microsoft all about holding this 255 in the morning. Microsoft looking strong, like we might not even get a pullback, but looking for this 255, 256 to hold in the morning. If we can start to get above 258.5, we'll be firing this 30-minute squeeze, looking to get up to that 260 and that 264 where the daily 200 sits. Got a key level also at that 266.72 to the upside. If we start to lose that 255, it gets a little dicey because we have these cash session lows and pre-market lows around 253, 252. So even if we lose that 255, we could just retest those and still hold. But if we start to lose 252, coming back to 250, where the daily 8 sits, and that daily 21 down to 246. Netflix pretty much filled that old earnings gap yesterday. Close enough that I'm going to call it filled. Netflix all about holding yesterday's low around 317. Yeah, if we start to lose 317, coming back to the daily 8 around 313. And then back to our zone here at 307. But if we can hold up at that 317, get back above pre-market high around 322.5. Looking to get back up to 325, 330. Yesterday's highs do have this sliver of a 2-day squeeze starting to form there. And if we can take out yesterday's high, it's looking to get up to that 340 where that third Keltner sits. NVIDIA. Bitty. At least on most names going into open, we have 30-minute and 1-hour squeezes going to help provide the range that we play until the range breaks. NVIDIA did a great job holding up at that 177 yesterday. You know, basically came back to the CPI number, or where we were before CPI, and then closed above where we broke out on CPI. So, basically all about holding that 177, 178, and could even hold this squeeze bottom around 180 if we start to get up above 182.5, looking to get back to 185, 188, yesterday's high during the cash session, close to there. Pre-market high, and then 190. But if we start to lose that 177, coming back to 175 for the daily 200, 171 for the daily 8, and cascading on down to these daily moving averages. The daily 21 at 163 and a quarter. So clear targets to the downside, and I have to take out these recent highs to push to 190 or beyond. QQQ. So on QQQ, all about holding pre-market low, squeeze bottom, early morning, 287.5 up to 288. If we can hold there, start to push back up to pre-market highs around 290. And if we can push past that, basically every 2 points, 292, 94, 96, trying to get back up to this 300 that we slapped yesterday. But if we start to lose that 287.5, 288, then we're likely going to come back to retest yesterday's lows around 286, this 285 key level, the daily 21 sitting at 284 and a quarter. If we can't hold these moving averages, and if we, market slips today on FOMC, then coming back to this 280 and this daily 50 around 278. SPX. Pretty much made it back and filled the gap and then held. Let's see, basically flat. So all about basically holding that 4,000, yesterday's low at 39.93. If we start to lose those, then we're going to come back likely to the daily 21, 39.65. And some of these recent lows, but if we can hold above 4,000 in yesterday's low and this daily 8, because getting back to the daily 8 would be completely filling the gap. I mean, we got close enough yesterday to call it filled, but if we can hold that 4,000, start to get back above the daily 200 at 40.33, we can try to make that journey back up 40.50. 4080, 4100 on SPX. And yesterday's slip back was not at all surprising. We called out kind of the rejection points early on, and then with CPI yesterday and then FOMC today, it just makes sense. They gap it up, they bring it right back. Now we're set up higher and ready to potentially rally into this FOMC and then get a continuation back up. So, let's see if things go well with FOMC today. Spy, spy, spy. So on SPY, I made it back to the daily 15 yesterday around that 400. This morning, looking for 400.3, 400.6, little zone to be our support if we do take out that little pre-market low around 401. Also lines up with the 1 hour squeeze bottom. So looking for this little zone to be support to try and send us up to take out this pre-market highs and this downtrend that we find ourselves in. There we go. And you could even draw a wedge from yesterday's bounce points over to where we are now. But overall, looking for this zone to hold, start to bounce us up to get through this trend line, get back above 403 to try to push up to 404, 405, top of the squeeze. But if we start to lose this little zone, we'll likely go to retest yesterday's lows around this 399. Should that start to give out, daily 8 at 398.5, daily 21 down at this 396, where we've struggled last week. But on Monday, we finally got above it. Use this 1 hour squeeze as your guide. Let's see if we can find support there enough to get through this trend line. Then it sets up getting up to the top of the squeeze in pre-market highs. It's kind of nice that this trend line's falling right in the middle of that squeeze. So we can play from bottom of the squeeze to trend line, lock up profit, leave runners. If we get through trend line up to top of squeeze, lock up profit, leave runners in case the squeeze goes to the upside. If we just keep rejecting, play short down to this zone. And if it gives out, down to the next. Tesla. Very weak yesterday. Gave out this very key zone that bounced us on the last sell-off. And now I got down to near this 160. All about holding yesterday's lows around 157. If we start to give that out, likely down to this third Keltner to the downside around 151 and that psych level of 150. If we can hold yesterday's lows, start to get back above 160, 162. Looking to get back up to this 166, 167.5, the zone that we gave out. UVXY. So this we got a little 30-minute squeeze here as well. For upside today, looking for UVXY to stay below 7.4, make its way down below 7.15, down to 7, and start to head lower. That third Keltner down is down near 6.7. But if we're going to maybe go retest yesterday's lows and whatnot, we'll likely see UVXY hold above 7.2, get up through 7.4, and try to make it back near yesterday's highs at this daily 8, daily 15. But I like that we're getting some lower highs. Hopefully we can set another lower high today, start to push lower for upside in the market. And on to VIX to wrap this up. So VIX right at this daily 21, daily 8. For upside in the market today, I want to see VIX stay below pre-market highs, below this 23. Start to get below this 22.5 and get back down to this daily 15, near 21.7. Yesterday's lows, 21.5. Maybe continue down to 21. Like for upside today, we need to see VIX get back below these moving averages and fill this gap back down to the daily 15. For downside on the market today, to revisit yesterday's lows or lower, We'll likely see VIX hold 22.5, start to get back above 23, try to revisit yesterday's highs around 24, and maybe even get up to that 24.5. You know, we do technically still have a gap here that didn't get filled. You could say that we came up from below and filled most of it. But yeah, staying below that gap level, again, near that 23, would give us a good bullish sign. Getting back below that 22.5 also very would lend to the upside in the market. So hopefully this is helpful for everybody. Thanks for tuning in. If you found this helpful, maybe throw us a like on the video, always helps. Good luck today, and we'll see everybody in the chat.